Gordon Brown talked about the need to, I think, re-establish trust and the importance of trade, international trade, as a way of trying to come out of this crisis. How is South Africa and you feel the continent of Africa coping with that?
I think that the story of Africa is one that has shown marked improvement as a result of ongoing economic reform. Their annual reports, both the IMF and the African Development Bank do these reports, and you can see the numbers all the way through to 2008 showing very significant improvements. Collectively, our macroeconomic balances have been stronger than any other region in the world. Fiscal surpluses, current account surpluses, low inflation, all of those come from a base that was very highly distorted through to the early 90s, and you've had this program of reform. The wheels have come off in the past year. And this is not a point that many people understand, because we tend to focus on those countries with large financial markets. But the truth of the matter is that as the financial markets have impacted on the real economy in the developed world, that has impacted on the real economy in Africa, where that which we produce, largely still commodities, have not found a market. Markets have seized up, trade has declined, current account surpluses have in fact been converted into deficits, government revenues have dried up, fiscal surpluses are now in some cases in very, very deep deficit. And altogether we face a situation where governments are less capable of providing those public services which improve on the quality of life. You add to that the risk that ODA might dry up, or at least diminish, because some countries have indicated that they're not capable of meeting their Glen Eagles commitments. Then the situation on the African continent looks dire. The problem, however, is that you're dealing with not one country, there are 53 countries. You don't have a consolidated media approach, and it's fairly easy to lose 53 poor countries, small countries, from the radar screen of what is happening. I think that if we take seriously the economic performance, the risk that governments have put into bringing their countries to where they are now, if we take seriously the struggle for democracy and peace, then I think we will recognize that Africa needs to be supported to maintain at least those levels, so that you don't have any country return to a situation of hostility and war, and you don't have any civil uprisings, a consequence of the inability of governments to provide basic public services.
Gordon Brown also mentioned, I think, the need for greater flexibility of funding. Perhaps this was in connection with what he terms the reform of the IMF and the World Bank. Is that going to be also very important, in particular for Africa?
You know, we've done some detailed analysis of the state of the economy and the impact of the current coordinated global recession on different countries. And there are a series of different stories. You can't replicate that with a single cookie-cutter approach. And the need, therefore, is to ensure that there would be flexible instruments to ensure that countries can access finance easily, quickly, but also in circumstances that meet the particular needs of the country. This discussion has been held with the management of the IMF. They are very receptive to the idea, and now it requires of us to motivate for sufficient support so that shareholders can articulate this view through the executive directors, and this can find resonance within the IMF very quickly.
And Gordon Brown has also put forward, I'm sure other voices as well, the idea of a global fund. I suppose it's connected with the reform of the IMF and World Bank. What's your view upon that?
Oh, we need that global fund as the day before yesterday. I think there are so many issues. We need a package of reforms of the IMF. That goes without saying. But I think that as we deal with those issues, we need to increase Africa's shareholding and ensure that there's a pool of funds available to help. I think similarly, President Bob Zillick of the World Bank has motivated for a special relief fund of 0.7% of the size of stimulus packages over and above the Glen Eagles commitments. And, we warmly applaud his initiative in this regard and request those countries, industrialized countries, designing stimulus packages to build in that small percentage of 0.7% to ensure that there is a resource to assist the poor in very poor countries who otherwise would not have their plight observed.